Yeah, hi all. Welcome to Mock Interviews with Ankit Jain. So, this is me, Ankit Jain. So, I'm a technical architect at an MNC. I'm 18x certified, so I'm active in salesforce events. This is my LinkedIn URL. So, we I discuss about the different interview tips and the resume tips, so that help you crack the interview for your actual dream company. So, here this is the my WhatsApp group which I run, which has more than 250 members. So now we'll be taking interview. So here we are, starting with the interview. Yeah, hi Uma. So how are you doing?
Hi Ankit, good evening. I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. So can you let's start the interview and let's get started with your short introduction.
Yeah, sure. My name is Umasai Surupareddy. I'm currently working with Accenture as a Salesforce developer with 2+ of years of experience, and I am 5x certified in Salesforce. So I'm certified in admin, app builder, PD1, advanced admin, and service cloud. So coming to my project, I majorly worked on the financial service cloud project. It is a banking. It is a bank. My client is a bank, and Uh, upon that, I worked as an admin and developer roles. So most of the probably admin configuring profiles and permissions and everything else. I managed the orgs, and in our client like there was a requirement for uh, processing the data, and they want audit purpose. So for the audit purpose, we have developed one application, and for that application, we have been using I worked upon basically batch classes and some basic of LWC, and I got to know more exposure about that. And in that application, basically we monitor IP ranges of the particular users across the whole orgs. Around there are some of 500 plus orgs. So in that orgs, we will be monitoring how many endpoints have been using and how many IP ranges and the
Right.
type of metadata like they will be providing uh, one template for that. So the template is the source of truth, and until and unless when we add that source of truth template to that particular org, other than that endpoints or other than that login IP ranges, no user can will not get access. So that is for the audit purpose. So this is the basic application which were implemented in our project, and yeah, sales.
Uh, Hold for a moment. See, Uma, when I asked you, I just asked you about the brief introduction,
Okay,
and I know you would want to talk about the project, but since it would be going too much long, so my tip here would be you give your brief introduction till what you mentioned, like what your is your skill set.
okay,
Then you ask the panel, if you want, I can elaborate on the latest project which I worked on.
okay,
The panel would 99% say yes, and then you can describe about all the things that you have worked on.
okay.
In this way, like otherwise, your brief introduction is actually not actually being brief. It has become too much, I would say, long.
Okay.
And next point, what you just talked about. Your total experience was, I guess, uh,
2+.
sorry,
It's 2+. Okay.
2+ and 2+ certifications, 2+ of years of experience. You've done 5 certifications. That's incredible. That's good. And you said like you worked on the financial service cloud, and you worked on the customization epics and all of that, right?
Yes, sir.
So in the recent project, tell me about the latest project which you worked on, and what is the actual use case? You mentioned multiple projects actually earlier.
Yes, Ankit. You are asking about the recent feature I worked on.
Yes, sir. Latest project which you worked on.
Okay, my project is like a Truist. It's a bank. It's located in US. So it is using a financial service cloud of Salesforce for its maintaining the database and all.
What is the actual you means here when you talk about any project, never ever tell about your client name.
Okay.
Uh, Even this helps you avoid like first thing all your mostly all the MNCs have the clause of NDA,
Okay.
non-disclosure agreement. So never ever say that.
Okay.
Well, instead you can say like it's a leading bank in the US, and you just mentioned like it's around the just maintaining that information. I believe there would be a much more perspective to that. So here you tell about what's the actual business, what is the value they would be getting in after this implementation. There would be a reason, right?
Yes, for implementing the financial service cloud, they are easier to able to track the customers' requests, and they are easy to get the loan. I mean, approach the customers regarding the loans and all. Mortgage, they have various LOBs, line of businesses, which will be using in financial service cloud. So by implementing this, it is very easier for them to track down everything and everything.
Another tip, like this time, like I actually guided you to what exactly I need. So in actual interviews, my recommendation would be whenever you talk about any project,
Yeah.
first tell them about what is the business objective about that project. The
Okay.
actual business objective is like it would provide, make them simplify the loan processes like mortgage and other things. And we are utilizing this XYZ feature of whatever cloud you worked on.
Okay.
And then talk about what are different actors being considered for that implementation.
Okay.
And then what you can talk about is like side by side map the actors to whatever license, Salesforce license that has been consumed, and what are the things they would be doing in the system. Now talk about that. How many users you had in the Salesforce for the, what are the different actors I would rather say in that project, or rather personas, if that makes it easy for you to understand.
Uh, so you are asking about the licenses which we use, or
I am asking about different actors, like there would be different personas, like right. One would be your end customer, one would be your like say a finance manager,
okay,
like
okay. So for that,
uh,
yeah, sorry, yeah, for that, there would, example you said like there is an end customer, and there is a support team, I mean service teams, which will be dealing with those customers, and above them there will be hierarchy of uh, bank managers and senior managers, and wealth management people, and more. There
I lost your
in
voice in between.
cloud.
Sorry, your voice did break, but here another point. You talked about the different personas, right? One second. Seems my network is the problem here. It's working out. Not sure what's the problem. Yeah. So what I was saying is like we talked about the different actors. See, when you explain, it should be like clear in the mind of the panel, like how you should be able to visualize. Like you talked about like the bank managers, you talked about the different support team. Tell it in a different way. Like the same information could also be rephrased as there are bank managers, there are a support team who would be utilizing the internal Salesforce internal Salesforce console app. We have given the Service Cloud license for those set of users, and we have the means these profiles have like we have these XYZ objects presented system to denote these business processes
Okay,
like that.
yeah, sure, Ankit.
You want to take some time and phrase it in your mind and then say, then I can pause it for a minute.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what needs to happen? Like suppose if someone asks me about the latest project which I worked on, two things I should know. What is expected? First thing is you need to know the major actors of the or who will be using the application. Like one would be your end users, second could be your internal employees. Employees could be like in any form, like whether it could be in the form of your support team, it could be in the part of your suppose in the scenario for bank, it's there could be bank managers, general managers, and the way you need to pitch it in is like suppose if I were to like I will give you a simple scenario which I'm more comfortable, like experience cloud. Suppose I created the project is about giving a self-service portal to the end users. How do I explain it? I'm just giving a demonstration around that. uh, the client had the requirement like they would want to have the improve the call deflections. Like we all know, like with the through the self-service community portal feature that is offered by Salesforce, we can give them the option to help themselves. So what we have here is like we have created a customer community portal, and we have to use the customer community license for that. Since we don't need the reports and dashboard, and we have also utilized the login license, since most of the time the our community users would want to just log in seldomly. And here we also have a support staff, which is our internal staff who would be responding to the tickets. So through the community portal, the user would be able to see the information about the products. They would be also able to see the different complaints that he has, or the cases that or service requests that the user has created. For the sharing of this data, we have utilized the sharing set feature of the community cloud, where since that's the only mechanism that is available while sharing this for sharing the data between the with the customer community license, we have utilized that. Also in that community site, we also have the live chat feature, like to avoid the getting too many calls, or it could be solved. Like it's like we all know, like the intent here is to reduce the number of cases or the calls that is given by the customer to the our service agents. So to reduce that, live chat is one of those features. So we are given that. For that functionality, the our agents like who would respond to that will have the uh, live chat feature enabled for them, which is again a additional add-on license. And here in this portal, since it's like there's a custom component involved, so we utilize the LWC for that. And we have also taken into consideration, like we can, since it's like the data can be, instead of Apex class, we have preferred to use it Lightning Data Service over that. And this way, like whenever also we have like an email address that is provided to the end users on that, which is visible on the portal, where through which like replying to that would create a case in our system. So this would we have utilized the feature of email to case in this scenario. See, while I was talking about all those things, were you able to visualize a little bit?
Yes, Ankit, I can visualize.
Notice how I talked about the technical terms as well as it make the panel visualize, like this is how the it would look it from the front end. That is the way we need to present the project, where which we give them that normal means. If we just talk about the technical things, the panel would not follow anything like what you're doing, and he won't have the clarity. So to avoid that, we are giving them the experience, like where the customer would log in, they would be able to see this page, they would be landed on the community. Or is it like if it, the how the customer journey would actually flow, that's what we have to denote. Like if suppose for the loan, I believe like there would be a CTI that integration also in place, right? Like the agent would receive a call for the mortgage or something like that.
Yes, Ankit.
Yeah. So you will have to talk about like the journey starts in the application through a call. The our end users would call the customer service agent, and the customer service agents, like we have provided since they are the internal employees, we are given them the service cloud license or the and they would be we have set up a call center in our Salesforce, and the CT integration is done through say XYZ what do you call app exchange product might be Genesis, might be Fine or whatever that you have been utilizing. Then you have to tell them like how this customer journey would be flowing in. Also talk about the licenses. So because the panel would then understand like you know the project completely. Also, I would know like there is other different things like you also if you in the if you notice carefully, I had mentioned like there are some LWC components in my application. So which gave him an idea like yes, he knows LWC. Now what would be his next question around? Either his question would be on the project or whatever the technical stuff that you talked about while explaining the project, right?
Yes.
So that's how you need to go. You have to guide the panel to from where to ask the question. You suppose I talked about like the CTI, so I could also I would definitely want to talk about like the what's the like how the routing happens. Is it omni channel being configured? How do you set up the omni channel? And then what is the different types of routing that you could do? Either you would want skill-based routing or do you want to go with queue-based routing? How do you configure the omni-channel supervisor? Then I could go with the general question around the security model, like what are the different ways like you could share the information. Then depending upon your level of experience, either it could be go in the integration patterns like Apex in the integration patterns or Apex design pattern, it could go around this scenario. And but LWC is a must requirement for all the interviews that I have seen so far. So at least be prepared like what are the different life cycle hooks. Why do we do what is the difference between imperative calling and through the calling through the wired method? Then around the different design attributes and
What is meant by design attributes?
not actually design attribute. There's like how we have in the aura attribute. I mean, in the aura components, we have like the design attribute similar to that. We also have the target means while you configure the targets in your component, you also configure like what are the
Okay,
attributes that
configuration file.
yeah. Like you the parameters that you could be passed from the while placing the component, you are able to pass that those attributes, right? So those things you need to talk about means that could be asked. Otherwise, sometimes it might happen like the simple things like future method. Like suppose I tell you, ask you like what are the different scenarios like where you would want to go with future method. What would be your answer?
Um, to prevent a mixed DML exception.
This is one use case. Another use case is like whether you would want some delay. Like after an operation is complete, you would want to, or either you could want to make a process asynchronous. Suppose there's a too much calculation involved in a particular code, and due to that, the user is experiencing too much lag. So whatever things that could run in the background, I can add it to the future method. So that way, the user would be able to get the response too much quickly from the application, and things would continue to run in the background. So user won't get blocked. This is also one use case, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
But
right.
again, while mentioning that, you have to talk about like, although like not always we can do that, but while consulting for business and if the user response is a higher priority for them, means the time taken for application to respond is a major concern, then this can also help us in this scenario. And the most common one is your mixed DML. Another question is around why can't we pass object as a parameter in future method? Do you know about that?
Because object can change, it modifies at any time of any user. Due to that, we can't insert object as a parameter in future method.
Yeah, true. Also, now the next question would that follows with this is like whether can they call the future method from batch or queuable from batch. or future method from queuable.
Oh,
These kind of scenarios would follow. Then the different
and
other
one more thing, Ankit. Then what is the difference between batch and future method?
batch and future method, there is
Both are
major.
asynchronous, right?
Yes.
Then we can't monitor job IDs through future method, is it?
Yeah, you can't do that. Yes, true. That's
Is that
why
is the only reason?
no. See, the use case is entirely different. Let me explain each of both of them separately. First thing is about the batchable or batch class. The use case for that is like if there's a large number of records that you want to process, that time you use that one. Or and also if you would want like you want to chain a you would want to call on the batch from a single batch, you can do that. You can if you want like the large number of data that you want to process, you want to do an API call as well, or do a call out. That time also you can go with this. The second is your future, and also the main advantage is like I can pass in the object as a parameter in this constructor of your batch class, and then I could use the other signature of start. One signature is around the database dot query locator, and second is around iterable. So the use case here is for batch class is like the processing large number of records, while the use case for future method is only two. One is like making the things asynchronous or corresponding or having some delay. Or second is to avoid the mixed email exception. Other than that, in all other scenarios, future method is not actually recommended, because all the other things that you need, like suppose if you want to do a API call out, that also you can do it via queuable as well. Or what you can rather do is like from queuable, you can call the batch yeah, future method.
Ankit, what you have given the reason, first reason of using future method?
First use case is like you would want to make things asynchronous, or add a
Okay.
corresponding, or you want to add a corresponding delay, because you know like future method would not execute immediately. It would take some time and
Yes.
run as a single independent thread.
Yes. Is there any advantage using that future method if we want to delay for the end user?
That the is consider like a use case like which came in my project is something related, not 100% I recollect, but what I recollect on my top of my head is it did happen like when we attach the milestone to the particular account. So at that time, we wanted to check like how much time is actually left for meeting a particular milestone for that entitlement. So at that time, immediately that record means we were not able to get that value of the milestone. So we added a user future method, and in that future method we queried that information. So that record was actually not available immediately. It that does get created, but it that value is available only after a few seconds. So that few seconds delay we wanted, so that's why we added future method. Somewhat related to that, I recollect like we had actually experienced this use case. Yes, Vasif, you have a question.
Yeah. So Ankit, if we have an experience of approximate 1.5 to 2 years, but how can we justify that we didn't do the certification of PD1? So,
Mm, See, if you want to justify that, it's quite simple. First thing, just say that uh, we don't wanted to just increase the number of certifications. What we wanted is like Salesforce itself recommends like you do a PD1 after at least having more than 6 to 7 months of experience. So that's why,
Okay.
and getting a good knowledge means on the actual project is more important than just increasing the numbers. But we do means you can say like it doesn't mean like I'm not passionate about learning. I did prepare the through the trailers. I was thinking like to improve on the knowledge first and then go with the certification. So the approach that I normally take is like I first get the project exposure, and based on the knowledge I get from project, and then adding to that I add my own efforts, and then I take the certification, which gives me much more practical value addition in my upskilling. Something like that you can talk about.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Ankit, I have a few questions. Can
Yeah, sure.
can you explain external lookup and indirect lookup once again?
I actually didn't explain that, but I feel free to means you can talk about that. So external lookup, what happens is like the parent is your external object. Actually, there's a scenario like sometimes it does happen like you have two orgs, okay,
Okay.
like which is actually happening in my project as well. Like there are two orgs. So in one, what they want is like they want the data to be visible in one org without actually being data being copied.
Okay.
So there would be external object means assume like the org where they want to actually just view the reports and dashboard. We call that org one, and the other one where the actual processing of your regular objects. 1 minute, let me just share my screen and add it a notepad. Otherwise, it would become a little bit confusing. 1 second.
Sure.
Let me just share my screen. Yeah. So here is like org A, and here is like org B. Here the object is a account. Okay. Suppose I want this account information also in my org B. So instead of copying that one, what I would have here is account underscore X.
Okay.
So this is your external object, right? And this is your regular standard object.
Okay.
Now suppose what you want is you want like this account would definitely have a contact. Here this account would also have a contact, but you would since this contact would also means while you're doing this Salesforce Connect connection and having that external object, you would also want to have the related data inside this org B for obvious reasons. Otherwise, your data would get corrupted. Like you would, if you only have the account, want to migrate that account, what would happen to the linked opportunity, contact, and all of that? Now, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm just talking about account and contact only.
Okay.
Now this one is your external lookup, because here is this is the parent is your external object, and here this can be your external object, or also it can be your regular standard object as well. The key catch here is like the parent. If the parent is external object, then it's called external lookup. If the parent is your standard object, then it's called indirect lookup.
Okay.
Shall I explain it diagrammatically, or this is fine?
Yeah, it's fine, Ankit. I can understand. Thank you.
This
And
scenario would come for definitely like in your real projects as well. This scenario also comes in. And actually, for me, it's like more realistic because in my current project as well, I have this kind of scenario, and we are actually doing this.
okay.
Yeah.
And one more question. Can you
Yeah.
explain
Yeah.
what
Sorry. Yeah. Can you explain CSV?
CSP trusted sites?
CSP.
Trusted
Uh,
sites.
CSP trusted sites. Uh, what I would talk about is like these are actually some cross-site scripting is there. So what Salesforce does is like whatever external URLs that are therein, it tries not to allow it to have that data. So you have to add those in your trusted URLs. So that's
Okay.
what CSP is around.
Okay.
Is it acts like same remote site settings like that?
Uh, kind of similar, but I would have to look. Means it's actually a good question. I would want to revisit and tell you about the differences. Yeah, I got the difference. So basically, CSP you want where you want to just talk about like your actual external resources like this one, your regular CSS or JavaScript. That time you use the CSP trusted sites. And remote site setting where you want to actually do an endpoint, like not because remote site setting is always an API call, right?
Yes. Yes.
Mostly. So that's the different use case. It's like point is same, like they would want to kind of whitelist that URL, but the business scenario is different. Like CSP, it's like cross-site scripting, so it's around the JavaScript and CSS stuff. While remote site setting is around your API callouts.
Okay.
But that's a good question, I would say. Any other question?
Yeah, Ankit, I worked on trigger and flows, but I have not experienced in LWC. So how can I justify it for the 1.5 to 2 years of experience that I haven't any chance to work on this?
See, the way I look at it is like in the current scenario, without LWC, you won't get any interview calls. Let's be practical.
Okay.
So what you
Yeah,
should be,
yeah.
yeah. So what you should be doing in is like you should be through the trailers itself. You should be able to get that knowledge, add that in your resume, and when asked about in your interview, just say them like you have knowledge of through the trailheads, but then the current company, the projects are like very old where they still utilize the Aura. And in the current company, I would definitely would want to get means I assume like I would get the exposure of LWC. And since I already worked on through trailheads on my LWC skills, that would help me further enhance that very much quickly. Something of that sort you can say. That way you're
Yeah.
that way you're saying saving two things. First thing, you're talking good about your future employer, which would make them very much happy. Second thing, you would be able to justify like why you are switching in. Third thing, you're also saying like you are ready to work, learn new things by yourself. So all goes in your favor.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Ankit, I want to learn integration from scratch. Till now, I haven't found any YouTube channel which provide best source, and or even I have searched in websites as well, blogs as well, but I
Uh,
am not able to found the best one.
the best one I would say is Epic Hours. In Apex Hours, there's a
Okay.
crash course of integration. So that would be the one I would be recommending.
Okay.
I
Ankit,
would,
uh,
yeah,
someone asked what are the latest release updates, and
yeah.
uh,
That's
of,
actually a very
of the
well. I actually I also do ask this question because this is to let them know like what are the latest things, features that are available. So you'll actually have to, for this one, I would say use Salesforce when, no? Are you all familiar
Yes.
about Salesforce when? So it tells you about some 15 or 20 good features of latest release. So let's go through that. Out of this 15, 20, you would be able to recollect at least 5.
Yeah, yeah.
You can just say about like these are the latest ones which I recollect on top of my head. But I do read about these things. It's just that it is not on top of my head. You can say like that. Any other question?
Uh, can you tell about skinny tables and data skew?
Okay. Uh, the take I would want to take here is first understand why do you need skinny tables? Do you know why do we need skinny tables?
Yeah, for like for querying a limited amount, I think of record. I didn't get it earlier. So,
Understand the problem statement. For learning everything, first understand what's the problem it is solving in. That
okay,
would help you get much more visibility about the different things and the use cases, what you should be solving with a particular feature that is available. So
okay,
what skinny table is around is, suppose you have a large amount of data. Your reports and dashboard are bound to fail. Your Apex query would time out, right? Your list views would
yes,
get too much time to load. So for such situations, what Salesforce recommends is two approaches. First, you can make whatever the fields that you are most frequently being used, collect that and create a skinny table out of it.
okay,
So what these could help you avoid the situation of large data volume. And what actually means, how does it means what it does is like it doesn't have any lookup field. So all are your regular fields. So definitely your performance would increase.
okay,
So that's the use case. First, understand the use case, and now talking about the data skew. Data skew, there are actually two skews: ownership-based skew, and second is your data skew. Ownership skew is like when the particular user has more than 10,000 records.
yeah. So then it would be
That
low.
that that the, now the problem that arises is like the calculation. The calculation, if that user's role is changed, or there's any addition record being created, or any of those are modified which changes the ownership security in any other way, then those would take too much time for calculation and those would time out. So that's why it's recommended like either you don't have a single user having more than 10,000 records, or if still you have to do that, don't have a role. Second is around your data skew. Data skew is like a particular lookup, like suppose the parent child, like suppose account and contact. A particular means the account has more than 10,000 records. So that would result in account means data skew. Now what would happen is like if that account is being deleted, that calculation would take too much time to process, which could again cause a problem.
Okay. And Ankit, like, can we use the Salesforce big objects for storing these in order to have a data skew?
For data skew,
Yeah.
no.
Like,
Data skew is your regular database,
okay,
and big object is a different entire use case. Like big object is actually used for archival,
okay,
and that was quite expensive. Also, you would not be able to create the schema from directly your UI, Salesforce UI. It actually creates it via your SFDX commands. That data is only readable if you have the big objects. And I think you cannot report on that big object as well.
Okay. And yeah, thank you. And what are the best fact practices for integration, like while connecting to external systems to Salesforce or Salesforce to Salesforce?
Uh, the best practices I would say is like uh, first understand like Salesforce to Salesforce. Then there are various factors to consider. First
Okay.
thing is, do you want to really copy that data, or is it on demand you want to sync that information? And whatever the scenario, be conscious of the volume of data that you would want to in means that would be coming in. Like suppose if I want to means if you want to copy that in data, then I can go with the REST API. Means should go with means the recommendation from Salesforce is like you try to use the native APIs as much as you can.
Okay.
And then apart from that, means suppose you want to connect to means are you concerned only about Salesforce to Salesforce or Salesforce to any other external system?
Any other external system like ERPs like SAP, another
So yeah, so here you would want to actually kind of know what's the capability. Like suppose in Salesforce, we have like the recommendation from Salesforce is most scenarios try to use the platform events and use flows. Like with flows, you can publish this platform event and your other system, external system like ERP or SAP should be able to subscribe. And on demand, you would be able to send that information.
Okay.
It's near real time, not actual real time, but again, like the volume consideration, there are only specific platform events that could publish on a particular day. Other than that, your other way of integration means there actually a well-versed article written by Jitendra Jha on this one. So I can provide you a link,
Yeah,
like
sure.
where he has graded the different integration techniques and rated them as per like yeah, I have that link ready with me, so I would just paste that.
Ankit, like API key and access token are same or different?
APK is your different. APK is your application means this whatever is your Android application, it gives for that application you will get that .apk file, and access token is around your if you want to authenticate. Like suppose
Okay, access token.
like suppose how it happens like in Salesforce is like you give their username and password and you are get an access token, and through that access token you are able to pass if you pass that in the header request of the header uh, of your API, then you are able to perform any operations in Salesforce with that token because it's authorizing you to do that. Sorry, you're it is authenticating you, not authorizing, authenticating.
Before,
And one scenario is like actually one of my friend has attended the interview through virtually, and he got the scenario like 100 users are moved from out of the organization, and the users are uh, deactivated. Right now, they are not active in status, and after 1 year, they all came to the organizations. The 100 employees or users came to the organizations at a time. How can we activate these 100 users? On which scenario actually uh, the administrator or any other user who want to activate these 100 users? How can we achieve these things?
You want to just see normally what happens is like most big organization use this Azure directory where their entire control of these 100 users happens in single go. So they add it. But here, considering the sales org, you have to you want to deactivate or activate this one. Then what you could do is like you can through the UI it could be different difficult. So in the such scenario, there should be an option of update through the workbench or through data import wizard. That should be the simplest way of doing that.
But my friend received the answer from the interviewer like using of schedule flow.
Schedule flow, the problem would be like he wants to like how would he make sure like these are the 100 users.
First,
You
we are
can't.
collecting the 100 users. Based on that, we are deactivating this user account, and
You should have a list
of,
with you like these are the 100 users. How would he read those 100 users if suppose that is in an Excel or anything like that?
no, no, I'm not sure. That's what I'm asking. Whether you know or you don't know.
That's
That's
not
why.
the way. Like the ideal scenario should be they do it via data upload through data import wizard or through workbench or data this one data loader.io and upload that file.
Like you by using comma separated values.
Yeah, CSV file you upload that and do that.
Ankit, what is the exact use case of custom labels?
Exact use case of custom labels is you want to enable it for translation. Actually, that's the use case. And other in like where we practically use it is like the verbiage from the client is bound to change multiple times. So we put in a custom label so we are able to change that verbiage without doing any deployment. Another means if I don't use the Epic custom label, then I would have to hardcode that text either in the Visual Force or in the Aura or in your LWC, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so what would happen is like in my production environment, I can't edit all of those things, but I'm allowed to edit the custom labels.
Okay.
So you can, it helps you like make them available for translation as well as it helps you change the verbiage for particular environment. If by chance anything is needed and in production, if I want to modify that text that is written, I can do that at any juncture.
Use of scoping rules in Salesforce. Something do you know?
User scoped scoping rules.
No. Use of scoping rules.
Use of scoping rules. See, scoping rules is actually just fooling around that particular person. So what happens is like uh, you won't allow them to see that data directly by default. But what would it do is 1 minute scoping rules. Let me just check. Is
Uh,
because there are two. Okay, sorry, yeah. Scoping rules is like you can see that specific data what you specify like that would be only shown, but if the user wants to see the other set of data is not restricted at all. So practical use case I'm not able to find it in my real world for now.
for other users or
Particular
for
user
himself.
for
Just
himself.
oh, okay.
Ankit, like if someone asks about governor limits of a particular thing, how can we easily remember?
See, not all the corner limits are expected out of you to know,
Yeah.
but few standard ones like 100 SQL, 150 DML, then around 10,000 record that you can update, then 50,000 records you can query. These ones are easy to recollect, right?
Yes.
You can just talk about like these are the ones which are more frequently that I've come across.
Okay.
But you can mention like to know those things, we can use the limits class in Salesforce.
Okay. And how can we achieve MFA and in Salesforce multi-factor authentication? Can you explain
You have
about
to
it?
actually enable that in your profile.
Okay.
Like there's an option, so it tells you like multi-factor authentication. So there are various ways, like you do it via Okta, you do it via Salesforce connector app, or there are like multiple options that are available.
Okay.
But the option is available in the profile itself. Is that
There is a flow orchestration flow or what,
yeah,
like
flow orchestrator.
yeah. So what is the use of basically?
See, the problems it solves is like if you don't have flow orchestrator, your approval processes, your regular record flows, everything would run independent. You won't be able to control that sequence like how you want it. It would follow that the standard way, like which Salesforce has configured it, right?
Like
As per the order of execution. But what you want is you want to tame that order. You want
okay,
like if there are different flows that are there in like suppose there are two, three record triggered flows. You want to set a sequence for all of that. So your record triggered, flow orchestrators help you sequence those things. So the things execute as per what you want, not what Salesforce wants. Salesforce does.
okay. Thank you, Ankit.
I guess then we are done. So I'm stopping the recording.